Hey everybody, welcome to week 11 of Farm to Table. Great to see all of you here today. I was just bemoaning the fact that this is our next to last class, essentially, our last gathering before we have Farmer Lee and then the week 12 outro. So glad you're all here, and we've got some fun stuff to talk about today, looking at butter and cheese and all things dairy, and that video that I sent out that Bradley shared, and Chef, I can pass this along to you to share with your class. It's basically a comprehensive video about how to serve every type of cheese, which is super cool. And I know a couple of you have had a chance to watch that already. So with that being said, anybody have any questions, comments, something you want to share about your experience with the week 10 assignment?
Preservation.
Anyone? Shanana? Oh, my screen is hopping around.
Shanana,
Shanana.
quick question. Now, you were saying that we could use the mystery box that we're going to get, we can use it in the cheese.
Mm-hmm. And we'll go over that more comprehensively when we talk about the recipes and go through those. But yeah, you can definitely use them to increase the flavor, depth of flavor that you have with your fresh cheese or your Siernicki.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Barbara, what you got? I don't know what is going on with my screen. Like moving.
Oh, it's getting all, it's like a ghost is in there.
Uh-huh.
Never mind. I was just going to say the fish was interesting.
Oh yeah, the gravlax. I see a lot of heads nodding. Everybody found that to be interesting, that process. It's pretty cool. I've seen some great assignments come in and some really awesome slicing on that gravlax. That's been wonderful to see.
Exactly, and some great presentations I've seen so far as well. Did get a few comments in the chat also talking about delicious flavor profile, which I've not only read, but also in some of the assignments, but also in the chat. Delicious flavor on the confit, which is awesome. And not greasy, right? We told you guys it wasn't going to be greasy. It's tender, it's moist, it doesn't hold the fat. It's an incredible experience, and you can get some really gorgeous crispy skin after as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Didn't like the fish. Gravlax, lox, smoked cured salmon or fish is not for everyone. It tastes, it has a very raw flavor, and the consistency is different for the first time you get in, just like anything that we try for the first time, there's a little bit of that, oh, I'm not so sure about this. This is just raw a few days ago, right? But then again, a lot of it is what you combine it with, right? Pairing it up with some creme fraiche, some herbs, some capers, that latke, it changes. It doesn't hit all of the focus right on that salmon if you're not yet comfortable with it. So having those other flavors to kind of round it out can help you ease into getting a better hand, getting adjusted to those different textures and flavor profiles. I see Jeremy's got his hand up, and then Jose, because you were in earlier with your hand up as well, Jose Silva. So Jeremy, you there?
Yeah, I forgot my question. I'm sorry. It'll come back later.
It'll come back.
Cool. Come back. Jose Silva. Jose, you there? All right, Jose, put your hand up when you want to talk again. We're here waiting for you. All right. Oh, all right, class. So, all right, Jose, you're back in. Let's hear it.
Yes, Chef. I have a problem with the mystery box. They send me a gift card so I can buy the products because I'm living in the territories. So I have to know what I'm going to buy.
Mhm.
But you kind of get a free pass with that. So obviously the ingredients. Are you in Puerto Rico?
Yes, chef.
Yeah, cool. I'm not so sure if rhubarb grows there. I don't, as far as I know, I don't think that it does. I could be mistaken, but rhubarb, yeah, I didn't think so. You know, you're just gonna wanna get some, what the heck is going on? Sorry, I've got a little problem on my end too. Get some seasonal vegetables, like what's popping up in Puerto Rico right now. And that's how I would.
Everything is popping right now. We're in summer.
Well, then have some fun.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right
Thanks.
on.
So,
You're welcome. All right, cool. Yeah, so if anybody runs into that situation, let's just clear this up right now. If for some reason you do not get the box, or perhaps the box is stolen off your front porch, we all know that can happen. If your products sit out in the sun and are spoiled before you get to them, hopefully that doesn't happen. But if any of those things happen, A, remember you can always reach out to us, but B, get seasonal, get fresh, challenge yourself, and make an awesome meal. All right. So if that's what happens, explain to us in the narrative what's going on, and we're flexible.
yeah, absolutely. Jeremy, so you got your hand up again.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask. So when do we get the boxes in the mail, or they been sent out already?
They're in the process, they're rolling out. Yeah, chef, sorry.
Okay, they've started shipping. I know some students got theirs today. So it probably, you know, depends on where you're located and how close you are to the farm. But I would look for them today or in the next couple of days. And so far, the ingredients that we have seen, and I'm pretty sure this is what everybody's going to get. We've got some gorgeous rhubarb. And then we have some fennel microgreens that kind of look like little blades of grass. And some
Get all them clothes out of there.
Olive, get off. She wants to eat the microgreens. Sorrel microgreens. These, if you haven't had this before, it's super tart, kind of lemony. I love it. What do you have there, Tina?
Sorrel.
Oh, it's just bigger.
Larger sorrel. Gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah,
So
this is
so
teeny
you have a teeny tiny one. So you might have varying sizes of the sorrel or the fennel microgreens that you do get. You should get a big chunk of, remember, not everything is going to be the same at the exact same point that's coming up in the farm. So the great thing about sorrel, so if you don't know what sorrel is, well, I saw Pina, you're taking a taste on it right now. What's the flavor profile like?
Oh my God, it's like delicious, like lemony. It's so good. It's like tangy, lemony.
Yeah,
It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's acidic. It's sour, right? So it's an herb. It's a beautiful green that can be highlighted. Think about anytime you want a pop of something bright and lemony and citrusy, right? That could be in a mix of in a beautiful salad, right? That could be a component of a salad, and you get these hits of that. You can chiffonade it. You can again, thinking about where does lemon or citrus notes really shine? How does that balance? Maybe with fish, that's going to pair beautifully, right? That's kind of what I would be thinking about, going in that direction. Or even utilized in a dessert, right? What other flavor profiles kind of shine like that? Acid can be used in, so I've seen really fancy, gorgeous desserts utilizing sorrel leaves because of bringing that acidic note in there, which is pretty great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could put it into a drink. I think that you're gonna get more of a flavor, unless you're making if you muddled it, you might be getting somewhere with that, but I don't think depending on the size of your drink, really, I guess is what we're getting at, and how much Sorrel you'd need to put in there. If you have larger leaves, 100%. Smaller leaves, you're going to have to use a lot to get that, to fully take, flavor that drink.
We've got several questions in here about the box and how many dishes you're making. So here's the thing. You can incorporate these ingredients, the microgreens, you can incorporate those into your week 11 assignment if you want to add them to your cheese or your sirniki, or use them to garnish your sirniki. The rhubarb is an interesting ingredient for us to get. I don't know how many of you have worked with that before, but it's usually used to make pie, like a strawberry rhubarb pie would be a common way to use it. Since you all are not pastry students and you're doing culinary for your week 12 assignment, Chef and I were talking about some interesting things that you could do with the rhubarb. And if it's okay with you, Chef, I'll go into some of those and we can kind of tag team with that.
Definitely.
But it makes a beautiful pickle. You can make pickles with it. You can juice it and reduce that to incorporate it into some kind of sauce. You can make a vinaigrette with it. You can make a strawberry rhubarb compote to serve alongside something like a pork tenderloin or pork chops. What else, Chef? What else did we talk about?
Yeah, pretty much, again, rhubarb is acidic, right? It's sour when you bite into that. That's why it's often paired with the strawberries that are sweet to balance that sweet and sour. So think about, okay, wait, now we just hit sweet and sour. Okay, what dishes have a sweet and sour sauce that come in with it? What can you think? What do you think when you hear the word sweet and sour? Yeah, rhubarb with a cheese board could be great. Pork, all right, what else? Asian influence, yeah, at least definitely. Asian, Chinese, chicken, sweet and sour chicken, starting to get there, right? Maybe start thinking about a really cool sauce, stir fry. You probably want to go more with making a sauce. Spiced rhubarb sauce on top of a lamb chop, awesome. So start thinking about this direction, right? Utilizing that rhubarb, because we know that oftentimes it's going to be used as a pie filling, as a jam, right? That's a compote, a chutney, right? What about a sweet and sour chutney with some, with going into more of an Indian flavor profile, some mustard seeds or dried ginger. Ooh, ginger. Think about ginger getting into this sweet and sour combination. Barbecue sauce, ketchup, right? A really fancy type of upgraded ketchup. Slow, braise, right? Making that sweet, sour, really complex flavor components that are going in barbecue ribs, demi-glace, Filipino food. Yes. All right. So even though this is a little bit of an odd ingredient, I actually think that this can be a fun challenge for really, and this is, okay. So 2 things to think about, right? Mystery box. You never know what you're going to get, right? And there will be times potentially when you are, applying for a job, right? And you have to cook, right? To show your skills to get that job. Well, you might not know what's going to be in that box. You better know what that product is and how to utilize it and be able to think creative, right? So use this as an opportunity to say, let me test my skills. Let me spread my wings. What can I think about? What could I do with this? Using that idea of a sauce base, I think is going to be your best bet. Something that's going to, it's not necessarily going to be the main component of this dish, but it's going to be the thing that elevates it and shifts something and kind of says, wow, this is not what I was expecting at all. All right. Loretta, did you have, you said you grew up with it. Did you ever do any savory preparations with it?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
My mother did, and then my grandmother also did it in their restaurant. They had a catering and restaurant business in Palm Springs, so they did it. Grandma did a lot of compotes with it, And she'd also put them in, well, not only her tarts, but then they also had all their French garmages and doing a lot of the refrigeration with, it was similar to the, gosh, what did we make? Sorry. I don't remember sometimes.
That's okay.
The pork spread, it starts with a R.
Rillettes. Rillettes.
What's that?
The rillettes.
Yes, the rillettes. They would do that with a compote with rhubarb in it. And they'd also cut the rhubarb. Sometimes they'd put raspberries or strawberries, whatever was in season that they could get, they would make. So it was quite interesting. And we always had it. She would always buy it because she grew up with it. So, and then my grandmother also liked it.
Mhm.
So that was interesting.
I'm thinking about, you know, we marinate proteins all the time, right? What if you marinated this in something sweet? Like you made some sort of, I don't know, something with apple juice or some sort of sweet juice, and then put this on the grill or smoked it.
Totally cool.
Mark,
Maybe
Kelly,
even-
I'm talking to you.
And
Travis?
the smokers and the
And then like very thinly slice it. I don't know. It's just a thought.
No, I love that, chef. I'm also I think you mentioned pickling, but remember, again, what about thinking about, let's not just take that rhubarb and do one thing with it. Can I do multiple things to one product? Can I pickle? Remember, you don't need to make a huge batch. You can do a quick pickle, right? Just of some really thinly sliced rhubarb. Maybe that gets then mixed in as, you know, part of a garnish or another component into that dish. So thinking about, you know, how you can really add that flavor. I see Jamie saying, you know, add a quick pickle and add them to lighter proteins or tacos. Tacos would be really cool, right? You've got that, all that beautiful flavor profile. And then you always usually have, you know, lime squirted over tacos traditionally. So playing with that acidic note, just keep on thinking about where do we like to put some acid, right? And let your brain have some fun with that. Are people feeling okay with this? Yeah. All right, cool. Also in regards to the greens, the fennel greens and the sorrel. Fennel greens could be a lovely garnish. Chef Lee was talking about even making, incorporating some of those into a fresh pasta, right? To make this really beautiful pasta that has just a slight fennel note to it. I think when I think of fennel, I would personally, I would get some fennel bulbs, right? Because you've got these fennel microgreens. So if you want to highlight and reinforce that flavor profile, I would go and get some actual fennel bulbs as well. If you can get the stems and the fronds, awesome. Then you can either grill, roast, braise the bulbs. You can use those extra fronds. You could toss that with the fennel microgreens themselves. You could make a garnish. And when I think, again, going to fennel, I usually go to fish. I think about fennel and fish. Fennel and fish are match made in heaven because fennel is really aromatic and slightly anise flavored. You know, you can slice some fennel thinly and roast a whole fish on top of that, a fish fillet, right? With some compound butter and then fresh fennel microgreens on top and make a quick, what you're talking about, a beurre blanc with the rhubarb as well because of that acid in there, right?
Yeah.
Tons of awesome opportunities. Just really have fun. Use this as a great challenge.
Dawn asked about using it in pesto. Yes, you can absolutely do that. Yeah. Amber said her Zoom crashed. Can we do pastry with the rhubarb? You can. You know, just remember that you do have to have those 4 components for your week 12 assignment: the protein, starch, vegetable, and sauce.
So an add-on, essentially.
Yeah, it would be an add-on. Unless you do like some sort of savory tart with the rhubarb as your side.
Ooh, goat cheese and rhubarb, right?
Yeah.
So this is how
Yeah.
you should start thinking, right? It's like, this is also what's really good if you have chef friends or other friends in the industry. popping ideas off, right? You just start going, and then all those things just kind of, okay, so I'm thinking, okay, mustard, goat cheese, rhubarb, what else could get in there, right? Really, the ball just kind of starts rolling and you start thinking about different ways, right? Everybody's thinking, okay, I saw somebody saying like putting it in some pico de gallo, right? Different sauces, different components. Savory rhubarb pie. I think that you could, but so what you would want, it would be a sour savory, but if you made a great sauce, so if you think about making a chicken pot pie, right? Let's talk about chicken pot pie. You make a velouté, right? And you're putting your velouté in for your pot pie. Now, if you made a velouté that had, instead of your, just being a straight velouté, but maybe you made a sweet and sour sauce and then incorporated that in with some protein, right? Some other veg, and then encase that in. Yeah, you could go that route. Jeremy, did you remember your question?
Yes, I already asked it. I don't know how to take my hand down. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I got you. No worries. Thanks. All right. So there's a lot of fun to be had. And also, as Chef Lee mentioned, if you want to put that in your compound butter that you're making this week, that would be another way of incorporating that into, and then you save that compound butter, right? Use that for your week 12 as a part of your week 12 assignment. All right, as another added layer of flavor. Just another way of thinking about it. Also, there's a lot of you're going to get a decent box. The box was fairly decent size, right, Chef? Right, Pina?
I got about 2 pounds of rhubarb.
Okay, yeah. So rhubarb, you got a lot, yeah. And an ample size of the box for your greens as well. I would say, hey, have some fun with it. Throw some into a compound butter. Throw some into your sirniki. Run wild, Yeah, so there's a good amount. You could definitely get a few dishes out of that, garnish obviously is a straightforward one. You think about adding that in. Lots of ways to incorporate it. And I would say certainly think about how beautiful those red veins are running through the sorrel. That is presentation, right? That's something that's going to be really striking on a plate, because you've got, if you look at complementary colors, right? If you go back to, like art class, the color wheel, you have complementary colors. Red and green are complementary colors. So that in itself is just this gorgeous, beautiful balance of vibrancy, and it complements well. Maybe you think, okay, how else can I add this in? Yellow. Yellow could also look nice in there. Where can I go with fish? Can I make some Yukon Golds, potatoes, bring in some yellow, some, I'm obviously having a craving for fish, but some baked fish, right, with that. And then these beautiful other hits, right? Because again, that acid is going to be nice. So fennel and sorrel would also be good with any fish dish. Chicken as well, pork also. I mean, the combinations are pretty unlimited.
Amber, to answer your question, you just need to make you need to have 2 identical plates for your final plating. The same thing on 2 different plates, so that essentially you have 2 servings. But it just has to have that protein, starch, vegetable, and sauce. So as far as how many dishes you have to have, I'm not sure, that could be interpreted different ways. If you're meaning dishes like, can you clarify that a little bit? You can make tea sandwiches. That would again be sort of an add-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An amuse-bouche.
Yes.
I think we missed a few of these questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Moussaka with rhubarb and ground lamb with the white sauce, that could be interesting. Again, you want to talk, if you, first get that flavor profile of that rhubarb and thinking about how acidic, how much would you want to put in it? Same like, because you want to balance that acid in there. Rhubarb is not like celery. It's fibrous like celery. It has that long stalk like celery, but that's kind of where the similarities stop. You have to make a minimum of one dish with the 4 components on it. Is that what we were just going on? And you can put 2 identical plates. So you work on consistency. But otherwise, you can have as many plates and have as much fun as you want. There's no, we're not holding you back. We don't want to hold you back. We want you to run wild and have fun with this. Where else? What else do we have? Yeah, you do need more than one recipe. Because we've talked about specifically no soups, no stews. We really want to see different cooking techniques applied to the, the different components, right? Your protein, your veg, your starch, and your sauce. So again, this is your last, cooking challenge for culinary school. So you want to show us what you got, show us what you learned, right? You've been in school for almost a year. We want to see, bring it, right? Just bring what you got, bring what you know. See what else.
Okay, I want to address your confusion, Amber, and make sure that, you feel comfortable with the information about the assignment. So let me find you and unmute you, and we will. Yeah, this is your last cooking class, Barbara. You'll have entrepreneurship and your externship, and then you are ready to graduate. Do you see? Oh, here we go. I see you. Amber.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So I guess if we can add all of those components into one dish, then we can only have one dish if it's not a soup or salad or, those things. So, or does it have to be each ingredient has to have a different dish? How many dishes do we need?
Here's the thing. You need one plate with a protein, a starch, a vegetable, and a sauce. So you can incorporate the microgreens and the rhubarb into any of those things if you want to, or you can do an add-on to include them, like, Lori asked about doing tea sandwiches. So as long as you have the microgreens somewhere in your final plating and the rhubarb somewhere in your final plating, you'll be good. But you don't need to do a one thing, separate thing for the rhubarb and then a separate plate for the microgreens. It's all going to be on that one plate.
Okay, so those are the only things we're getting in that box is microgreens and rhubarb.
As far as I know, so far everyone who's gotten a box has gotten those ingredients.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. A couple other questions are coming up about the externship in the chat. I think it's 125 hours, and your career services advisor will have all of that information for you. So they're a great resource for all questions. 150 hours, okay, all questions related to your externship. And the boxes will arrive, if not today, sometime in the next couple of days.
All right, cool. Any other questions regarding the week 12? We are going to go over, we will again, so just a heads up, next week is the Farmer Lee's presentation. All right, that's going to be next week at class time, 4 p.m. Central Standard, where he's going to, give his talk. It's really cool. I've gone to a few of these, and it's just fun to hear his story, where he came from, how it all started, and that'll usually last about 45 minutes to an hour. And then what we'll do is we'll have a study hall right after that, where we can, in case anybody misses it or has any questions and has not executed their assignment, we'll cover it again in that study hall class, just to go over any of those requirements. But let's just pull this up really quickly, Sheffley, and then I think we just hop into week 11. What do you say?
That sounds good.
Cool. So let me just pull up the week 12 requirements so that everybody is seeing this all on the same page. All righty. My internet is being really slow. All righty. So self-ID and sanitation, as always, on the day that you're executing your work. Proper mise en place, right, for executing your protein. Prepared for cooking, right? Whether it mean that's trimmed or tied, rolled, however you're executing it. Seasoned, cooking protein and finished protein with a thermometer showing proper doneness. Whether you're cooking a steak to your liking of your temp, or you're cooking poultry and you need to hit 165, this is what we need to be seeing, all right? Then your sauce, again, proper mise en place, a simmering sauce, and showing that the spoon showing that finished sauce consistency. All right, we want to make sure we're seeing a properly made sauce, one that's not too thick, one that's not too thin. Moving into your veg, again, mise en place, your veg prep, cooking veg, and finished vegetable. Last but not least, we're going into your starch. Now, mise en place, sauteing aromatics or simmering potatoes if you are cooking those, not required. Toasting rice if you're executing. If you're making fresh pasta, we want to see some of those, some of those production photos. And your final finished starch. And then this is where we take that, where we've been talking about plating for the past few weeks, right? 2 identical finished plates. Remember, we are working on consistency. When you get into the industry, you're going to have to be replicating identical plates every time you push out a dish. 2 of those with mindful plating, thinking about plating, moving forward with that. How do you get this? How do you make this, enticing? Making sure that the rim of that plate is wiped clean, because nobody wants to see sauce splattered on that. Nobody wants to see fingerprints on there. Nobody wants to see sauce spilling over the side. Remember, creating that white space on that plate, or whatever color, whatever, but you don't want to just jam it all in. Either fine dining or casual dining style presentation. So don't worry if you're thinking, oh man, I've got to use pico greens. I don't have tweezers. I'm not El Bulli. I don't even know what's going on. Don't worry. It doesn't have to be, super crazy. You can do casual, but if you want to, again, challenge yourself, got some really great products to challenge yourself with, and thinking about how to highlight those different products.
A couple of questions here in the chat. Someone wanted to know if they could do grilled corn for their starch. If you're in my class, I would like to see you.
That's a vegetable.
Yeah.
When you look at it, when it's straight from the plant, right?
Yeah.
When we start to grind it and turn it into polenta, that's a completely different form of that product, right?
Yeah, but my point is, I don't want to just see a grilled piece of corn. I would like it to be a little bit more elevated than that. Chef, I don't know how you feel about it, but
yeah, we need to be stepping it up. Again, this is the last cooking class.
Now, if you want to grill some protein, that's leveling up a little bit. That's showing some meat cookery, which takes more technique. You have to be more skilled at that than you do grilling an ear of corn.
Sorry, I'm just going to hop in there, Chef. If you were grilling corn and then cutting all that corn off and transforming that into a beautiful corn salad with fresh tomatoes, some beautiful herbs, a nice sauce. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now you've stepped up the game, right? We don't want to just see, okay, I've just seasoned this with salt and pepper and I put something on the grill, right? Or just seasoned a pork chop and seared it.
Real quick. Excuse me, Chef Catherine. I'm the one who asked that question about the grilled corn. I was going to grill everything this weekend. Protein, corn, use the cheese, use the butter. I just wanted to know, because corn's generally a grain, but I wanted to use it as a vegetable if I could.
Yeah, I just always think of corn on the cob as more of a vegetable component, as opposed to when we're taking corn and turning it into a flour and making it polenta, tamales, things like that, right? You often see, like, even if you look at a plate of, like, go to any regular restaurant, right? And you're going down home cooking, you get some mash, fried chicken, and that corn on the cob is considered that veg, right? Not necessarily looked at as a double starch.
Yes.
Right. So corn on the cob.
I will step up the game on that corn. Now that you gave me an idea to do something else with it.
Yeah,
But I
that's what I'm
just
saying.
wanna grill.
Elevate it. Grilling corn is delicious, but elevate it. Transform it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question, if we have a cut piece of protein in our plate up, can we use the cut inside as a picture in lieu of the thermometer, for example, mid-rare steak?
Temp it. These are the requirements. We need to see a temped protein.
Yes, you can use lamb shanks for your protein. That sounds delicious. Rice pudding with rhubarb as a side. Yeah, I think so. I'm cool with that. And they're not sending you a starch. They're just sending you the rhubarb and the microgreens, as far as we know. That's what you're getting. So you will be responsible for deciding, what starch you want to use. And if you want to use another vegetable, a green vegetable of some sort on your plate, you can certainly do that too. The narrative will be the same. You'll go through and share your experience just like you do with the other weeks. You'll do the flavor wheel section, the menu descriptions and instructions. All those things will be the same. And
Barbara, see your hand up.
Sorry, yeah, that was my question. What they were sending us, like, is it only going to be vegetables and fruits, or are they going to also be sending us proteins and stuff like that, or are we just responsible for that end?
You take what they've given, and then you go out and shop for the rest, and base that as you create your meal surrounding those components that they've sent you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
all right. Yes, you can turn rhubarb into a pie, but that will be an add-on. That's something that will accompany your final plating. Smoked salmon with rhubarb sauce, rice, and fresh garden salad. Yeah, I mean, that's hitting all the requirements. I don't want to see any rice out of a box, like no rice-a-roni, no yellow rice from a bag. This needs to be something that you have prepared. And, steamed white rice, yes, that's a starch, but elevate it. Show us what you got.
Also, Chef, a fresh garden salad, we need to see a vegetable cookery.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We do need
salad doesn't count. We need vegetable cookery.
They are not sending fruit. The only thing that comes in the box is the rhubarb and the 2 types of microgreens. You could do an infused rice. Let's save the rest of the week 12 questions for the hallway, because we're coming up on the top of the hour, and I do want to go over the recipes for week 11.
Yeah, definitely.
Y'all are going to have a ton of fun with the week 11 assignments. And Chef, do you want to do the Sirniki? And
heck yeah.
You can take the cheese if you want to. I'll go over the butter.
Sure.
Whatever you think.
Sure, whatever. Either way. Let me just pull this up. So for those of you who have never made fresh cheese, it is extremely easy, right? But one thing to note, this is not the cheese, that you're thinking about. This is not cheddar cheese, all right? This is not Swiss cheese. This is not goat cheese. This is actual fresh farmer's cheese is what it's called traditionally. Farmer's cheese, right? It's also called tvorog in Russian, which is where we'll be going into the cookery with the Sirniki of utilizing this. So this is a really light flavored product. Unlike most cheeses that have been inoculated, right? Or that means like when added, different bacteria will be added to different cheeses to age them and change the flavor profile. We're not doing any of that. We're not doing a wash rind. We're just making fresh cheese. This is the first step in the rest of cheese making. Okay. If you find that you really are into making cheese, then this is going to be, a starting point. And then you can start to explore buying different yeast and bacteria to put into cheeses to get different flavor profiles. But then we're talking about aging, right? Most cheeses are aged. That's why this is a fresh cheese. It's going to be soft, crumbly curds. It's not going to be salty. It's going to be crumbly, kind of like not exactly like feta, but similar, but it's not going to have any flavor profile that's like feta, because feta has been sitting in a salt brine. Okay.
This is more like queso fresco, but without the salt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let me pull this recipe up so that we can all get on there. It takes, oopsies, very few. Hold on. Just had a slight.
While you're pulling that up, I'll answer some of the questions in the chat.
Sure.
You can add flavor to your cheese. Just remember, you need to reserve some of it for your sirniki. But if you wanted to add some fresh or dried herbs to that, the other fresh cheese, you can do that. You can add some salt or pepper. Really, you can flavor it however you like. You could put some lemon zest in it, a little bit of garlic mixed in. So that's really up to you. But it is very basic and flavor. You know, it's got that nice sweet flavor of the milk, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start talking about the milk. If you want to use goat's milk, awesome. If you want to use cow's milk, sheep's milk, great, 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 great. Milk is what we need, not dairy-free milk. We need to see actual milk here to get the desired result. And my personal suggestion would be, as well as Chef Lee, we talked about this earlier, whole milk. All right, you want to go whole milk because that's going to have more fat, you're going to have more flavor, you can get more curds, right? So really simple, milk and distilled white vinegar, literally 2 ingredients. All right, pour milk into that stainless steel pot, medium. You don't want to crank that up because you're going to scorch it and you're going to burn it. All right, it's going to leave off flavors. All right, do not boil that either. You just want to get a slight simmer. Stir it, yeah, slimmer. You'll get slimmer if you eat this. Stirring, right? While stirring, slowly pour in that vinegar, and immediately what you're going to see, and I'm going to pull this up for you in 1 second, is you're going to see a separation of curds and whey. This is what you're going to see. Again, like I said, this is the starting process of all cheese making. This is obviously on a super large scale, right? Probably gonna make ready. This to me just screams like I'm gonna be mozzarella soon. That's what that's what that looks like to me. But this is gonna be more on the scale that you're gonna see it, which you'll see the separation of curds and whey. You should actually see a little bit more of the actual curds. This is almost as if it's been almost mostly strained at this point. Your whey, all right, your whey is gonna have this kind of lemony, like light yellow. It's going to be slightly acidic. It's going to be cloudy. Whey you've probably seen whey powder, right? For your protein shakes. Well, guess what? That's dehydrated whey. Again, it's a chemical reaction. We're adding acid and we're separating curds and whey. Your curds are going to look like this. At first, they're going to be wet, how this is first taken out. And then let me just pop back into your recipe. Then what you're going to see, line a sieve or a colander with cheesecloth. Then you're going to pour those curds and whey into the cloth, catch all the curds, right? Squeeze it all out, all right? That's how you're gonna get all that liquid out. And you're gonna save the whey because whey can be utilized in a multitude of applications. Remember, we're still on the idea of waste not, do not waste. Transform that, use that in another dish. The curds, at this point, if you wanted to, this is where you would want to start to think about if you want to season them or add some herbs. I think about adding, again, not with all of it because we do need to save half of it, part of it for the sirniki. But this is where you want to take part of that batch out. Maybe you want to throw some chives, fresh herbs, some roasted garlic, salt. You could even add some olive oil into that to make a really beautiful. I would then, add some chopped onions, make a really beautiful. I'll show up a photo of another dish that you guys can make, but by using part of the remaining cheese. But otherwise, you're just going to strain. If you're going just simple, you're just going to strain it and let it dry. And label and date it. Throw it in the fridge. All right. Next, you're going to hop into the sirniki. Sirniki comes from Russia. I fell in love with these things when I was working there. I had never seen anybody transform fresh cheese curds into a patty like this, and I was all about it. So you take those 2 cups. If you're making a half portion, 1 cup of farmer's cheese, you're gonna have to reduce all this by half. But you've got your farmer's cheese, an egg, some AP flour, salt, sugar, and then vegetable oils for your cooking. So you mix those together, all right? Combine it, get a nice consistency, and then heat your skillet or griddle and olive oil or veg oil, and you're gonna sear those little pancakes up, okay? Now, you're gonna get golden brown. Flip over and you are set. 2 things that you can think about here. This is where I would say, ooh, am I gonna go savory or I'm gonna go sweet? All right, I'm going sweet. I'm probably not gonna add anything else to my sirniki. Maybe, I could add a little bit more sugar, all right, if I wanted to make a sweet sirniki. But you think about what you're gonna pair that with. Traditionally, it would be paired with some jam, all right? That's how you would eat a really traditional sirniki breakfast. Let me just pull up a visual of this. I personally, I'm a savory girl. So I go salty all the way, all the time. But as you can see, oftentimes this is a really classic breakfast, right? You've got your jam, some creme fraiche or sour cream, a little powdered sugar, some fresh berries, all right? But like I said, just because everybody makes something sweet doesn't mean you can, serve it up with some maple syrup, tons of things. Doesn't mean you couldn't go savory, right? So I would scallions, throw up some scallions in there into that mix, into that sirniki, into that mixture, sear those bad boys up, serve it with some like a savory dipping sauce and have some fun. But just know that you can go sweet or savory with these. And you're gonna wanna have a component to, kind of help these along, because as you can see, there's only 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar in this mix. Not a lot. It's very mild. It's again, highlighting that flavor profile of this fresh milk. I'm gonna say one more thing and then we're gonna hop into butter. Think about the quality of the milk that you're getting. So this is where we go into those deeper levels, right? Slight nuances. If we look at cheese, well, where does some of the best cheese come from? France, someone might say, Italy, Europe, right? Small artisan cheese producers that are all over the world. Well, what's going on with the cows or the sheeps or the goats? What are they eating? They're probably living a better diet, right? They're eating a better diet. So if they're munching on lavender fields and wild grasses, you're gonna have those slight flavor profiles that are really changing and shining through in that milk, which will then result in a flavor profile difference in the end product, that other cheese. So again, if you get a flavor profile and you're thinking, well, I really don't taste anything, that's because you're just, and that's fine, but it's just a regular old standard homogenized milk, and it's gonna be extremely neutral. It's not gonna have a lot of character because all that milk that we're drinking, that is coming from multiple cows, all combining into one to get a neutral flavor profile, mixed together and then distributed, right? So it becomes really neutral. It doesn't have that special characteristic of a cow that's been munching lavender. All right, it's gonna be really neutral. Also, if you do not see any curds and whey, it means you're probably using skim milk.
Or ultra pasteurized is not great for this either.
Yeah, UHT milk coming from that also is not going to do it, right? That's the reason why it says do not boil. You don't want that getting super hot. But yeah, if you don't get any curds, get some more milk. Maybe make 2 batches if you're feeling like hesitant. Take that, the recipe, split it in half and do 2 little goes. Does anybody have any questions regarding specific to cheese and sirniki?
We do have 4 hands up.
All right, Lee.
We have a local dairy called Prairie Farms here.
Get
And
it.
then there's another one where the milk tastes like dirt.
Tastes like
Can't think
what?
of the name of the other one though. Dirt.
Oh,
Even smells
dirt.
like dirt.
It might have a beautiful flavor though.
It's so no, it don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it don't.
Well, then I wouldn't get their milk from them.
My question is canned goat milk and mixed with cow's milk. Can we do it that way? Will it work?
I wouldn't risk it. I would just go with regular old milk. I don't have enough experience utilizing canned or powdered or anything other than I've just made all my cheese making experience is literally just using actual fresh milk or milk from purpose from the grocery store, but in the refrigerated section. So there's a lot of things that come in to happen when you start adding high heat that can change stuff. And I don't know how that's going to react. I wish I did, but I don't know. Mark.
I got a dairy about 5 miles from my house, and each gallon is labeled with the name of the cow.
I am jealous.
Oh, it is so awesome. I made cream cheese this week, and it was awesome. I cannot wait for next week or this week's assignment.
Oh man, get that heavy cream from there too. That butter is going to be out of this world.
Well, when you get the gallon, the top third, almost fourth or half of the gallon is butterfat. Literally, it's thick butterfat. It was awesome.
Where are you located, Mark?
Santa Fe, Texas.
Man, love it. Enjoy that. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it.
And it's organic and GMO free.
That's awesome.
Gorgeous. Sounds fantastic. I'm excited for you. It's going to be freaking fantastic. Steven. All right, Steven, come back to us if you can. Barbara.
Okay, I kind of wrote it in the chat, but what is the shelf life of this cheese that we're making? Because you said that we can age it, but does that mean we have to do something else to it?
No. This is the beginning of the cheese making process. Most cheeses are aged. This is a fresh farmer's cheese. You will not be aging this cheese.
Okay, so what is the shelf life? Is it 7 days?
5 for flavor.
Okay. All right.
It'll start to smell sour when it's, if it's, you'll know that it's not good anymore because it should be sweet and mild and neutral.
If you don't have cheesecloth, you can use a mesh strainer. You could also use like a flour sack towel or a tea towel or an old t-shirt. I had a student use pantyhose one time, a new pair of pantyhose, because she didn't have anything else. I thought that was rather ingenious.
Anything that won't leave lint is okay.
Yeah. All right, Steve, are you able to unmute yourself?
I'm sorry, Chef. I try to get my hand down there. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're all good.
No worries. All right. Let's go into the world of butter real quickly. And, same as Chef was saying, regarding the milk and the quality of the milk that you get, you're going to get your results are going to be directly related to the quality of your product, of your milk. Sorry, I'm trying to read and pull up the recipe at the same time and talk. When I started going over this assignment last block, I was talking about making butter from butter. That's not what we're doing. I was mixed up in my head, and you're going to be taking fresh, heavy cream and making your butter this week. And a couple of things that I'll point out as I go through the recipe here. this can be a messy process. So you want to make sure that when you get things in your mixer or your food processor or your blender, that you've got it kind of covered up with a towel so that the liquid doesn't go everywhere. So you need 3 cups of heavy cream, high fat content. You want about 40% fat content on your cream. If you are at the regular grocery and you have a choice between the store brand and something like Organic Valley or what's the other, Horizon? Some sort
Horizon,
of
yeah.
organic brand, I would go with that. It's worth the splurge for sure. So you're going to need that. The salt that's listed here in the beginning, you can omit that. You do not need to add salt in the beginning. You just need your 3 cups of heavy cream and your 5 tablespoons of ice water. Also, if you have a metal bowl for your mixer, put that in the refrigerator or the freezer to chill it. That'll help kind of expedite the process. If you don't have those any of that sort of equipment, you can do this by hand. It was done by hand for years and years and ages. So that is a possibility. You're going to pour your cream, your cold cream, into your equipment, your food processor or mixer, and you're going to whip that until it separates. And much like you get the separation of the curds and whey when you're making your cheese, the milk fat is going to separate from the buttermilk. So you're going to have that reserved buttermilk, and you can use that to, you can mix it with your whey and make a brine with that for some protein. You can drink it. You can put it in something else that you're cooking that,
Pancakes.
calls for buttermilk. You can, put it in pancakes. So do not throw that away. It's another type of liquid gold that we get that's not to be wasted. So once it starts to separate and you start to see it turn more of a yellow color, that's when you want to start to add your cold water. And that's going to help the separation process continue there. And you'll get more buttermilk at that point. It can take some time. It says around 4 to 6 minutes. I've had students who, it's taken longer. If you're mixing it and mixing it and mixing it and it's not separating, put it back in the refrigerator, put the whole bowl or whatever blender pitcher back in the refrigerator and let it chill some more and then go again. You're going to squeeze your butter solids in your hand to get any excess moisture out. And then you can squeeze it in a tea towel or some cheesecloth if you want to do that. And then you're going to use a paddle attachment in your mixer and beat the butter at a slow speed until it's smooth and creamy. It's at that point that you want to add your parsley, your lemon juice, your salt and pepper, and beat it until it's really well mixed. And then at that point, you're going to take a piece of parchment and put that butter on there, make it into a cylinder. And we can show you some photos of this. But you're gonna make it into a cylinder, roll that parchment back and forth. You can also use plastic wrap, and it'll store in the refrigerator for a couple of weeks. It will store in the freezer beautifully. And with the compound butter, this is a savory application where you're using the parsley, lemon juice. If you wanted to do a sweet compound butter, I'm totally fine with that. One of my favorites, I use some maple syrup powder or maple syrup if you can't find the powder, some orange zest, a little bit of cinnamon, and a teeny tiny bit of brown sugar. It's amazing on pancakes, French toast, biscuits, you name it. Other variations of the savory. Sometimes I do garlic, cilantro, a little bit of jalapeno, and some salt and pepper. So really you can take this and run with it. You can use roasted garlic, that's fine. And yeah, as Dawn is saying here in the chat, it is lovely on the piece of fish, on top of a beautiful filet, grilled steak. Butter's good on everything. So be creative about how you use it. Chef, am I forgetting anything about the?
I just want to say, you need to whip. Has anybody ever here made whipped cream? Anybody ever made whipped cream, right? Anybody ever been whipping whipped cream and all of a sudden you realize you whipped it too much and you start to see these little fat globules pop into it, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much that means you're on the way to butter. All right. And anybody, if you don't have your easiest way of doing it, honestly, also, if you have you can make it in so many ways, but you can also do this by hand. I have literally turned heavy whipping cream into butter by myself using a whisk. So anybody who says you can't do it, you're not trying hard enough, in my personal opinion. And you need to put the metal to the metal, get some arm grease in there and start cranking it. All right. The machine will do the work for you, but you have to let it do it. Okay. It's going to take time. Remember, we're literally physically tearing apart this homogeneous drink, right? And you have to physically rupture that and break those bonds so that you get fat solids and buttermilk resulting in this. All right. So it's going to take time. Don't give up. That is what I'm going to say. Don't get frustrated. Don't give up. Keep pushing. It is going to happen. It has to happen by science itself. It will do the job because you're going to keep on mixing it up and keep on just getting it. So, you think about old school butter churning, right? If they could figure out how to do it with a butter churner back in the day, you can do that now, right? We can make it happen. So just don't give up, don't get frustrated, and rock it out. Just keep pushing forward. That's going to be your key. Also, don't stop when you just start to see, it getting thick enough and it's just starting to pass. If you're not getting an actual good chunk of actual butter and it looks like whipped butter, you have not whipped it far separated. You just get a little teeny bit of buttermilk at the end. You have not separated this again. Your heavy whipping cream is going to be somewhere between 32 and 40% fat. So that means what's the other part? Right? So when you get your yield, you should be looking for, a good chunk of butter, but a lot of buttermilk. Because that fat is 32 to 40% fat. So that's the fat that you're going to be extracting. Those are the milk fat solids. The rest is going to be liquid. We don't want to see any whipped butter here. That's not what we're making. We're making actual butter. You're going to see a difference.
Yeah. There is a video for the butter in the research materials to answer your question, Barbara.
Yeah. Watch the video. Watch it transform. Watch the separation. Also, the addition of the ice cold water is what happens. What do we know? Fat and cold. Are they friends? Nope. When we put a stock in the fridge, right? Even if it's just, it's chilled down, by the next day, we've got fat that's moving up to the top, right? Fat solidifies when it's cold. So that's why the extra addition of ice cold water just helps pull that fat out even more, pull more out of there.
I promise you it will make a mess if you don't cover it up.
True.
I promise.
All right.
Christina and Lee, do you mind if we hold your questions for study hall? The hallway, would that be okay?
Awesome.
Okay,
Sounds
cool.
good. All right, class. In 1 minute, we'll be right back.